my wife and I are praying that you will receive some things that will help you here, not only through us, but through every speaker, to cause success in your life. Okay? Testimony and how through the products that you carry has changed her life. Now, the reason she shared that is because sometimes we can get excited about the business and not really realize what it is that we have. Do you know what I mean? You can have some products that will literally change people's lives and yet not know about them. So it's important to know they're good. You see, because if you don't believe in your product, guess what? People will pick it up. It's wonderful to be in an opportunity that's going to make you money, but at the same time, my friends, people will know if you are sincere about your product. And you can tell who's sincere about the product. It's real easy. How many of you use them? How many of you use the nutritional supplements? Good. Don't ever, ever, ever be telling somebody about something that isn't good enough for you to use. That's called deception. If you believe in it, guess what? People will pick up on it. But then you can share. You know, the greatest testimony is your own testimony. The greatest testimony is what have the products done for you. They don't know Anita, they don't know all these other people, but they know you. And when you can share with them how it's changed your life, that'll be the greatest impact that you can have. All right, I want to share some things with you today, specifically to do with building a business. How many of you want to build a business? All right. Now remember this, write this down, this is very important. You must keep the main thing the main thing. If you don't keep the main thing, you will get off on a tangent and you'll do a whole bunch of other stuff that will be good, but it'll not be great. And it'll keep you busy, but it won't build your business. So 90% of what we do is the main thing. And you need to know that you've got to keep the main thing the main thing. Now the problem is, does anyone know what the main thing is? Anybody? Lift up your hand if you know what the main thing is. Huh? People. Yeah, what about people? Huh? What if somebody said something back there? I didn't hear you. Huh? I can't hear them. Dream? That's good, but that's not the main thing that you do. What's the main thing that you do? You're shouting too much. One at a time. What? Huh? Carry? Sharing. Right. Everybody write down. The main thing is sponsoring people. It is the main thing. You could tell, you know what I found out about a day? There's only 24 hours in a day. Am I right? Has anyone able to be able to get more than 24 hours in a day? If you ever figure that out, call me. I've been trying to do that for years. In fact, you know, that's not true. One time I got 48 hours out of one day. Can you believe that? I was flying from Tokyo to California, and we went through the time zone, and I arrived before I left. Amazing. I got 48 hours out of that day, but you know, you're not on a plane all the time over the Pacific Ocean, am I right? So most of the time, we only have 24 hours in a day. And you know, we can talk about the products and we can move some products in 24 hours, but at the end of the day, you still only got 24 hours. Am I right? There was this joke about a man who was crying out to God, and he says, God, give me more time, give me more time. And nothing happened, and then he cried out again, God, I'm so busy, I wish I had more time. God, give me more time, and nothing happened. And he cried out a third time, God, I'm too busy, I can't get everything done. God, give me more time. And God spoke. He said, son, there is no more time. Give me more you. What does that mean, give me more you? How do you multiply yourself? How do you move more product? Sponsoring. Sponsoring. There is no way I could have moved $300 million worth of product by myself. I mean, I may be good at selling, but I'm not that good. So I had to sponsor some people. And I had to help them sponsor some people. And the next thing you know, this little one-man distributorship turned into 7,500 people that were excited about their opportunity. Keep the main thing, the what? The main thing. What is the main thing? Everybody say sponsoring. All right. Now, what do I mean by keep the main thing the main thing? 90% of your time ought to be devoted to the main thing. Yeah, but I can order products, I can pack products, I can write them down, I can write testimonies, I can keep track of the products, I can keep track of my sponsors, I can do all the paperwork. You know, that's the problem. We spend 90% of our time doing things that are not the main thing. What's going to build your business? Everybody say the main thing. So if the main thing is going to build your business, 90% of your time ought to be focused on the main thing. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. The main thing is what it's all about, is sponsoring, 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 sponsoring. If you're not sponsoring, you're not growing. So how do you sponsor? Now, I saw this on one of your magazines back there, and it really was the key to building a large army of people. Number one, this is how you do it. Number one, are you ready? Talk to a lot of people. You saw that on one of your magazines, didn't you? All right, now once you finish number one, you're ready to do number two. Guess what number two is? Talk to a lot of people. Once you finish number two, you are now ready for number three. Guess what number three is? Now, NASSIR, come on, it cannot be that easy. The problem in multi-level marketing and network marketing, the problem is not that it's difficult. That's not the issue. The problem is it's going to take discipline. Somebody write this down. Turn desire into discipline. Let me tell you, my friends, the key to your success in building an army of people, it is a word called discipline. And believe it or not, the key to your success is not based on how many people you sponsor. But I thought you just said that sponsoring is the main thing. Yes, it is. But now, what is the action that will cause the team to grow? Are you ready for this? Am I going too fast, or are you getting something? All right, you're getting something. All right. It's called daily activity. It doesn't matter how many you sponsor, it matters how many you talk to. If you make a commitment to talk to 5 people a day, then talk to 5 people a day. If it's a commitment to talk to 2 people a day, then talk to 2 people a day. If it's a commitment to talk to 10 people a day, then talk to 10 people a day. Will some of them say no? Has anyone in here had any no's? Oh, my friends, let me tell you, if you cannot handle a no, you are in the wrong business. A no, by the way, let me define what a no means. You know what a no means? A no does not mean no. So what does a no mean? A no means you haven't convinced me yet. I don't want to join. I don't like it. That's a no. What are they really saying? You haven't sold me the dream yet. All right. So the key to your success is not how many people you sponsor, but the key to your success is daily activity. Everybody say daily activity. What does that mean? You've got to make a decision, how many people am I going to talk to every day? I don't care if you say one person. If that's your goal, do not go to sleep until you talk to one person. Something called the law of averages is going to kick in. You know what the law of averages is? It means if you talk to enough people, somebody's going to say yes. The issue is not that we can't find anyone to join our business. The issue is we don't talk to enough people. Because if you talk to enough people, you'll find some that are hungry. Are people hungry in South Africa? Yes. Are they looking for opportunities in South Africa? Do they want to learn how to make more money in South Africa? Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, but my neighbor, he's a lazy so-and-so. Good, talk to someone else. Not everyone you talk to will join, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. There was a gentleman in America. He was called the home run king of baseball. You all know, how many of you know baseball? It's not quite like rugby, and it's not quite like cricket. It's something different. But baseball is still a sport over in America. And this guy, I mean, he could hit that ball with his bat all over the field. I mean, he had more home runs. I guess in cricket you would call it, what do you call it in cricket? 4? 6? 6, right, 6. All right, in cricket you call it a 6. That's what he got. But it was in baseball, and it was called a home run. And when they would throw the ball to him, I mean, he would take that bat and he would hit that ball and hit it out of the park. He was called the home run king of baseball. His name was Babe Ruth. Anyone ever heard of Babe Ruth? Oh, a whole bunch of you. It's wonderful. But guess what? He was also what we call the strikeout king of baseball. Strikeout means he missed. They threw the ball, he swung at it, and nothing happened. I mean, he would go up there to the bat, and he would be there ready, and they would throw this ball at him, and he would take a swing, and he would be ready to knock it out of the park, and he would swing, and he would miss the ball. Now, you get 3 chances in baseball. So they would throw the second ball at him, and he would swing with the bat, and he would go to hit the ball, and he would miss again. And he was not dismayed. He says, no problem, we got three chances. The ball's going to be thrown again. Strike 1, strike 2, and then they would throw the ball, and he would swing, and then he would miss again. Out. Just like in cricket, you know, they hit the, what do they call that, the stumps? Hit the stumps, you're out of the game. And instead of being dejected, instead of being depressed, instead of being miserable because he failed 3 times, he would carry his bat and say, now I am one more closer to my next home run. When you get a no, all you got to do is carry your bag, smile, and say, now I'm one closer to my next yes. My friends, don't be upset when people say no. It means they're not ready, or you haven't learned to sell them the dream yet. Okay? Relax, take a deep breath. The problem with no is that we take it personally. We think we've failed. We think we can't do it. We think we don't have ability. We look in the mirror and say, I'm always a failure. Every time I go somewhere they say no. No, it wasn't every time. If it was every time, you wouldn't even have one sponsor. Somebody must have said yes. But we get down on ourselves. We don't understand. When someone is saying no, they're not saying no to you. They're not saying no to your abilities. They're saying no, they haven't yet bought the dream. So don't take it personally. All right? Because you must continue to keep the main thing, the what? The main thing. All right. So sponsoring is not part of the business. Sponsoring is the business. Need to know that you are in a people business, and the one that sponsors the most makes the most. It's really not that complicated. All right. Now, who do you sponsor? Who do you sponsor? Anyone and everyone that walks, talks, and breathes. If they're not breathing, well, you may have a tough time sponsoring them, but you could practice on them, right? No. And the more you do it, listen to me, the more you do it, the better you will get at it. All right? So continue to sponsor anyone who walks, talks, and breathes. Don't, this is important, don't prejudge. Oh, you know, I could sponsor a bunch of people, but not my Uncle Fred. Oh, no, not Uncle Fred. I mean, nobody likes Uncle Fred. He's a miserable so-and-so. He would be no good in this business. He doesn't even like people. I don't think I'll sponsor Uncle Fred. You don't know who Uncle Fred knows. Huh. You could be walking away from the biggest group that would be under you because you prejudged Uncle Fred. I'm sure glad the guy that met me when he first sponsored me didn't prejudge me, because I didn't look like one that was going to make it. Little did he know that he found himself a firecracker. Little did he know that I was going to explode. Well, you don't know either. Well then, NASSIR, who should I sponsor? Everybody. Don't prejudge. Remember, it's not who you sponsor that is as important as who they know. And you don't know who they know. So you could be walking away from another Charlie Bolton. Because Uncle Fred may know another Charlie Bolton. But because you never sponsored Uncle Fred, you never got Charlie Bolton. Wouldn't it be wonderful? I mean, wouldn't it be terrible if you went to a big conference and you found Uncle Fred sponsored by someone else? And he had sitting next to him the next Charlie Bolton? And it could have been yours? Now, if you want to shoot yourself, it's okay. No, I'm kidding. So what do? Sponsor everyone. Do not prejudge. And remember, what are you selling them? Are you selling product? No. You're selling them the dream. The dream. Why did you join? The dream. Why are you here? The dream. Why did you come this weekend to Bloemfontein? To build your dream. Why have you made the effort to leave your home? And some of you drove many, many hours. Some of you came from all over South Africa. In fact, some of you came from outside of this. Who came from outside of this country? Give all these people a big hand. That is wonderful. Yes. That tells me you're serious. But you know what? You could be missing some key ingredients by walking past some people around you. Don't you say no for them. I learned that the hard way. Let them do the saying no after you've presented the opportunity, after you've presented the dream. All right? We're talking about building an army. We're talking about not prejudging. Yeah. The natural market of your sponsor is the most valuable asset he has. Somebody write this down. What is it? I sponsored somebody, Charlie. I sold them 2 products. Isn't that wonderful? Wrong. You missed the whole deal. What was the most important thing that the new sponsor brings to this business? Everybody say natural market. What does that mean? The people they know. So when you sponsor someone, your job isn't finished until you help them sponsor someone. I used to put it this way: a sponsor is not a sponsor till he got a sponsor. Somebody write this down. A sponsor is not a sponsor till he got a sponsor. Why? Now that you've helped them to get someone else in their team, they've started to see a little success. Now they're ready to run. But if you just sponsor them and leave them by themselves, pretty soon the excitement wears off. They don't think about the dream anymore. The cares of life hit them from morning to night, and 2 months later, you can't even find them. Am I right? Why? Because you didn't finish your job. What was your job? You must sponsor someone under them. You don't put someone under them. You help them to do it. A sponsor is not a sponsor until they what? Get a sponsor. All right. I hope you guys are writing this. This is what helped me to build a very, very large team. I put down massive action is the only thing that will bring massive results. I want massive results. Good. Then do some massive action. Do some massive action. Yeah, that's an interesting statement. I'll say that. Imagine if the company made a new ruling and they said that, what is the date today? 21st? All right. What if the company made a new rule, and that was that December 1st, 2000, all the sponsoring will be finished. No more sponsoring allowed. The company's hit the maximum of the people they want in the company. You cannot sponsor anymore. Whatever number of people you have in your team as of December the 1st, 2000 is all you will ever be able to have. That means you've got approximately 40 days. And after the 40 days, it is all finished. Now, if the company passed out that ruling, what would you do for the next 40 days? How many of you would make a list of everyone that you know walks, talks, and breathes? Huh? How many of you would get on the phone and call them every single day? How many of you would tell them this is so exciting they cannot walk away? How many of you would share the dream with them? How many of you would get so excited that you would talk to people from the time the sun comes up to the time the sun goes down? You would not waste one of those 40 days. Am I right? Why does the company have to make that rule for you to do what you should have already been doing? Huh? You got to get a sense of urgency. I've only got one day. I'm going to make my day count. This is the day that my Lord has made, and I choose to rejoice. I choose to make every second count, every minute count. I want to make my time redeemable. I want to make my time worthwhile. I want to go to sleep at night and say, you know what? On this day, I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. I gave this day my best shot. Why? Because this day will never come again. How many of you want to be financially independent? How many of you want to take 30 years to get there? How many of you want to get there quickly? Now listen, the only way I know for you to get there quickly is you must make every day count. You must. I accomplished more in one day today than I used to do in a month. Why? I understood the value of time. Every second, every minute, I'm thinking. You know, Charlie's like that. You think Charlie's a nice, quiet little guy? Ha! His mind is running 100 miles an hour. As you're talking to him, he's got 20 other things he's thinking about. He's got this in control, that in control. I mean, he's doing all kinds of stuff, and he's just smiling. And you think, he's not thinking of anything. Are you kidding me? He's running the whole organization while he's smiling at you. Why? He's not making 1 second pass him by. See, no one, my friends, gets more than 24 hours in a day. But some people make it do a whole lot more than others. Huh? Make your time redeemable. Make it valuable. Make it count. All right. Now let's talk quickly about, we're talking about building an army and moving. Oh, I wrote down here. You know, there was a company in America, we call it Pony Express. Now you probably, anyone ever heard of Pony Express? Oh, you have? That's wonderful. Pony Express was the first company to take mail from the east side of America to the west side of America. They would take it by horse, you know, and they would go from town to town to town to town to town, and they would eventually get mail from the east side, the Atlantic Ocean, all the way to the Pacific Ocean, from New York to California. They would take this mail, and they became very successful. But what was the secret of Pony Express? Huh? Are you ready? Fresh ponies. Some of you have been working with old ponies for a long time. Write it down. Can you imagine the old pony took them to the next town and there was no fresh pony and that pony was going on? They only had to go the whole country with one pony? They'd be dead. Every town there was waiting a fresh pony. That was the secret to your success. You know what? You'll never build the next championship with the old team. Every sports team went on to win championship after championship after championship. It was because they got fresh ponies. By the way, while we're at it, let me just tell you this. Who is the very best sponsor you got? Everybody say, me. I told you last night, you won't find the right person. You got to be the right person. And while I'm at it, let me just make this statement. People see what you do, and they will do what you do more than they'll do what you say. What does that mean? Well, you ought to be the biggest sponsor in your group. You ought to be talking to the most people. You ought to be setting the example. Why? Because you can't go to your people and say, sponsor somebody, sponsor somebody, sponsor somebody, and you know what? 1 week gone by, you ain't done nothing. You're just sitting there waiting for the check. Don't work that way. Remember this, I found this out with kids. It's very difficult to discipline children because they want to see what you do before they see what you say. Did you know that example is the greatest teacher there is? So you ought to be the best sponsor you got. You ought to be the most effective. You ought to be talking to the most number of people. You know what I found out? I found out people are really strange. They're weird. When they know that you are waiting on them to do something, they ain't going to do it. How many of you know what I'm talking about? But on the other hand, if you tell them the key to success, and while they're sitting there, you are out doing it, all of a sudden they realize they better get moving or you're going to pass them by. You're going to make it with them or without them. That's why you've got to be the best sponsor you know. And you're going to find some fresh ponies. You're going to find some people that will buy the dream. You're going to find some people that will get excited. But you may have to go through a few to get those Charlie Boltons. But would it be worth it? Huh? It would, wouldn't it? I mean, if you went through 20 no's and you found one Charlie, would it be worth it? What if you went through 99 no's and found a Charlie? Would it be worth it? Sure it would. But you'll never get to number 100 Charlie until you go through the numbers. And you'll never go through the numbers until you realize their no is not a personal rejection. Smile and just say, I'm closer to my next Charlie Bolton. Huh? Get excited. All right. Boy, we're running out of time here. Once you've built the army, you better learn how to move the army. And let me give you 3 biblical principles that I wrote down. This will help you. Number 1, you will always reap what you sow. So make sure you sow the right stuff. You do the right thing. You will always reap what you sow. Number 2, you will always reap more than you sow. What do you mean you'll always reap what you sow? Well, the more sponsoring you're doing, guess what? You're going to get a harvest. Something is going to happen. Harvest always follows seed time. When you're sowing, harvest got to come. What does sowing mean in this business? Talking to people. When you're talking to people, something going to happen. I mean, even if you don't know nothing from nothing, you talk to enough people, you'll stumble by accident over someone that says, I was just looking for an opportunity, where do I sign? You will. But you have to talk to enough people to get there. Number 1, you'll reap what you sow. Number 2, you will always reap more than you sow. What does that mean? Well, it's a biblical principle. It's a principle from the Bible that says that the harvest is always greater than the seed. What does that mean? You sponsor one Charlie Bolton, you got a whole harvest on its way. You got a room full of people. Huh? But you didn't sponsor them all, did you? You found one. Number three, law number three, you will always reap in a different season than what you sow. What does that mean, a different season? Well, it means that just because you don't see immediate results, don't give up. Don't give up. And don't give up on people. Give them your best shot. Help them as much as you can. Now, don't waste your time on a deadbeat. How many of you know what I mean by a deadbeat? I mean, they're just sleeping all day. There's nothing you could do. You can't wake them up. Well, then just simply smile and say, next. But sometimes people go through a hard time, and be compassionate to know that and help them through a hard time. And you'll be amazed. Somebody write this down. People don't care how much you know. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Huh? So be sincere. Be sincere about their success. You know, if you help other people, you cannot but be successful. You must be successful. You know, on Sunday morning, in the first session in praise and worship, I'm going to share some things that have really impacted my life and caused me to become a success in the sight of God. And I'm going to share some things. I encourage every single one of you to come. I wish I could take years and years and years of knowledge and experience and pack it all up in one 45-minute session, but how many of you know you can't do that? We shared a little bit last night. My wife shared a little bit this morning. I'm sharing a little bit today. How many of you are happy that you came here this morning? Did you get something from what I'm teaching so far? Tonight, I'm going to take you to another level. It's going to be even higher. Sunday morning in praise and worship, I'm going to take you to another level. I'm going to teach you some things Sunday morning. I tell you what, that will change your life. You don't want to miss that. Sunday morning is the most powerful. They always save the best to what? To last. Going to give the icing on the cake on Sunday. And I'm doing 2 sessions on Sunday. So I got to share the first part, part 1, and then part 2. You don't want to miss that. All right, where was I? I was here doing something. All right, number 2, how do you move an army? I gotta get on with this. How do you move an army? Oh yeah, I'll say that. You know, people get into opportunities and distributorships like this so they can be their own boss. How many of you want to be your own boss? All right, now listen to me. If you went to work in your job and instead of showing up at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, you decided you weren't going to show up till 11 o'clock, and instead of sitting there working, you decided to put your feet on the desk and drink coffee all day and go out for a 3.5-hour lunch and come back and spend 20 minutes and then go home, would you keep your job? Would they fire you? Because that's not work. If you want to be your own boss, learn to boss yourself. In other words, don't take 2 hours to have your breakfast and your coffee because you're just not ready to pick up the phone and call someone. Ask yourself, are you honestly putting in 40, 50, 60, whatever it is, hours of work? Or are you just saying you are? If you're going to be your own boss, learn to boss yourself. A good friend of mine once put it this way: all you can do is all you can do. But all you can do is enough. The problem is that most people never do all they can do. But they pretend that they are. And they blame everyone else for their failure. My upline, my products, this company, I didn't get my stuff on time. This is the problem, that's the problem. It's the literature, it's the conference. Charlie brought the wrong people. He should have had it in Cape Town. He shouldn't have had it in Bloemfontein. That's the reason I'm failing. Remember, when you point your finger at what the problem's at, the other 3 fingers are pointing at the real problem. No. If you're your own boss, then learn to boss yourself. make sure you really are doing all you can do. All right. Now, how do you move an army? I'm going to give you this real quick, and then we're going to wrap up. How do you move an army? You move an army by making them feel special. Be the leader that you would want to follow. Be the leader you would want to follow. Inspire and motivate your people. Teach them what they need to focus on, which is sponsoring people. Remember, I said success is 10% how, 90% why. You can teach them all the right things to do, and they'll never do it until the why is there. There was a gentleman in the history books by the name of Alexander the Great. Anyone remember reading in the history books about Alexander the Great? Let me tell you a true story about what happened to Alexander the Great one day. He had his army, and it was 50,000 men. And he was marching. And he got word that the enemy, King Darius, had 5 million soldiers. He's got how many? 50,000. How many does King Darius have? 5 million. You know, that's 100 to 1. How do you fight a battle with 100 to 1? What do you do? Do you run? Do you take your 50,000 in the middle of the night, sneak away, knowing that the enemy, King Darius, is on the other side of the hill, knowing fully well that he's got 5 million men ready to slaughter you and to kill you? That's a pretty tough situation to be in, am I right? Anybody want to be in that situation? But I'm going to share with you how Alexander won the battle. Anybody want to know? How do you take 50,000 soldiers and destroy an army of 5 million? How do you do that? He got his generals together. He had a meeting with the captains of the army, the generals of the army. And he said, now listen, get all the men, assemble all the men. I want to speak to all the men. And he got there on his white horse, and he had this huge red cape and this head helmet that he had on top. And he stood there, he was sitting on his white horse, and he said, now men, listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Over there on the other side of the hill is King Darius. He thinks that he's going to defeat us, and he's got 5 million men with him. But I'm here to tell you, they're just a bunch of farmers. They don't know how to fight. They don't know how to hold their weapons. They don't know what to do. They are not trained like you. You are killers. You're great. You're fighters. You're soldiers. You've been trained. You cannot be defeated. You cannot be destroyed. 100 of them cannot touch one of you. That's how great you are as a soldier. We never lose a battle, and we're going to take them on. But this is the strategy. They've got their soldiers in a line all the way across. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to focus on one thing and one thing only. We are not going to attack them throughout the whole line. We're going to find the weakest point in their line, and we're going to take all 50,000 and we're going to charge that weak point, and we're going to remember only 2 words. Kill Darius. That's all we're going to remember. As sunup, in front of the battle was Alexander on his white horse with his red cape. He led the charge. They went through and they broke the enemy line. They were not taking the enemy on to fight with them. They were not looking for a battle. They broke the enemy line and they went straight for the tent that Darius was in. 50,000 armed soldiers ready to kill, motivated, inspired to kill Darius. They were not interested in getting into battle. They just broke that line and they kept going until they got to the tent. Darius saw them coming straight for his tent. He fled into the desert, and the word got out to 5 million men that Darius had fled. The moment the word got out that Darius has fled, all of a sudden 5 million men lost their nerve to fight Alexander. And Alexander the Great won a battle with 100-to-1 odds. Why? He kept the main thing. The main thing. Kill Darius. Yes! Now we have some tapes. If somebody could bring some tapes up. I want to share with you just these tapes as we close. I have not finished. There's some more stuff that I'm going to share with you. How many of you have enjoyed it so far? Oh, I tell you what, wait till tonight. We're going to have an exciting time tonight, and tomorrow 2 sessions. This is wonderful. This is my wonderful assistant. Isn't he good looking? 3 people over there. Did you pay them? No.
Not as good looking as you.
Just hold them right there, sir. This book, Kingdom Principles. How many of you believing that you will increase in finances? How many of you want to increase financially? All right. This book, even though you can't get it here, you can order it. This book has helped people get anywhere from $11,000 in financial miracles. That's something like 80,000 rand, up to R1,000,000 rand in financial miracles, applying the principles in this book. I encourage you to get it. In fact, they use this book now in the American Bible College as part of the Biblical Economics course. So this is our latest book. Just fill out a card like this, and they will be happy to take your money. They like your money down in the tape room. They will take your money, and we will mail the book to you. Also, we have some tapes here. This is a good one. This is the priorities of men. You know, you need to learn how to deal with people. This will teach you how to deal with people. This will teach you how to deal with your family. This will teach you how to keep your priorities right. And so I encourage you to get a hold of this, because unless you have your priorities right, my friends, you will never see success in every area of your life. Wouldn't it be terrible if you built the biggest business and found that your wife and your kids have left you? Would that be a success? No, success means success in your whole area, in every area of your life, in your family, in your marriage, with your kids. Am I right? And this will teach you how to do that. I encourage you to get this. Now, we've put a special title on this, For Men Only. Now, you say, why did you put that for men only? So all the women will buy it. It's marketing. This is a marketing strategy. Is it all right to have some fun? All right. You know that 1/3 of the world is ugly. Did you know that? 1/3 of the world is ugly. Now look to the person to your right. Go look at them. Now look at the person to your left. Remember, they're looking at you. All right. The rest of faith. I was talking to you yesterday how belief systems will determine what happens in your life, and belief is another word for faith, and belief systems are developed by what you hear. You know, I love to talk to business people, because business people know that investing in themselves and their business is worthwhile. How many of you believe you're worth investing in? Right. Get some of these tapes. I can't take you through all the years of training and experience in just one weekend, but you know what? You can listen to these tapes and they'll change your life. All right? So I encourage you, get a hold of this. How do you change your belief systems? The rest of faith. Oh, this is wonderful. I teach businessmen in Fortune 500 companies. I don't know if you've heard of one company called Amoco. Anyone ever heard of Amoco? It is the largest oil company in America. Anyone ever heard of the largest investment company in America called Morgan Stanley Dean Witter? Anyone ever heard of them? There's several of you. Well, I train those people how to build successful businesses. And one of the first things that I teach them is, if you don't pray out your business, you will never see it grow. How do I pray my business out? Order these tapes. They'll teach you how to pray out the business. See, prayer gives God a legal right, a legal entry for divine appointments. What's a divine appointment? A divine appointment is next week you bump into another Charlie Bolton and he joins you. Wouldn't that be great? That's called a divine appointment. How will that happen? You got to pray it out first. Praying out your business. We've seen many, many successes because of that. All right, we're just down to these two now? All right, that's good. This one, I cannot emphasize enough. There's a whole 7 albums like this, and it's called Strongholds of the Mind. Unless you break the limitations of your mind, you won't see your business grow. Remember I shared with you last night, this building was built how many times? Yeah, it had to be built here first. Until you can see yourself with an organization at least as big as Charlie Bolton, it ain't gonna happen. I could never have a group as big as Charlie. That's your problem. As long as you think you will never have one, guess what? You will never have one. Are there enough people in South Africa for every single one of us to have groups as big as Charlie? Yes. Of course. But you've got to take the limitations off your mind. And so there's 7 albums on Strongholds of the Mind, taking the limitations off your mind and dreaming big. Oh, this is a heavy one. My wife and I teach, and my wife touched on this a little bit, my wife and I teach on something called marriage. How many of you are married in here? Lift up your hand. Now, unity between husband and wife is critical when you are spending as many hours as you're spending building your business. I know what it's like. There was a time my wife and I would be building our network marketing business, and we would be working 16 to 18 hours a day. Anybody worked 16 or 18 hours a day? Well, sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to work 6, 7 days a week. But you know what? You better keep your marriage intact. And so we teach on that, the role of the husband, the role of the wife. We have one series called Marriage Should Be Heaven on Earth, Not Hell on Earth. If your marriage is hell on earth, you better get those tapes. We got another series that says marriage key is communication. If you don't learn to communicate with your spouse, how are you going to learn to communicate with everybody else? Communication is the key. And the last one, this is a heavy one. You have to be over 18 to get a hold of this. It's called Marriage, God's Plan for Sex. Did he say sex? Who invented it? It was supposed to be a good thing. Not a, oh, there's someone back there excited. He's on his honeymoon, could you tell? That's good. It ought to be the best out there. And you know what, wives? You will write to us and tell us how your whole marriage has changed when you get your husbands listening to this. We teach some stuff on here that you cannot put in written form. But you know what? If we don't learn it from the Word, we'll learn it from the world. We better learn to do it right. Okay? You know that's probably the #1 reason for divorce today. Money and sex and lack of communication. Well, my friends, let me close with this statement. I said to you yesterday, excitement is your key. The word excitement comes from the word enthusiasm. And the word enthusiasm comes from the word enthusia. And the word enthusia means God within. People need to see the God that is within you. People need to see you excited about what God is doing in your life and about what God is going to do with your business. You say, NASSIR, why do you keep talking about God? Because I couldn't have built a $300 million company in America without Him. Maybe you can. Maybe you're a better person than me, but I couldn't have done it. But you know what? If He's going to help me, He's going to help you. If it's going to be, it's up to me. It's time for you to keep the main thing the main thing. Remember, my friends, the motto is, kill Darius. Thank you.